Well, good evening, good people. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. Shout out to the Dallas Cowboys for getting it together and playing a game, a must-win game against the Commanders. And the team gave you some hope because you look at it and say, if our offense can play like that, where we're getting, 100 yards plus from our running back, you got two receivers that combined or average, over 200 yards. You got a tight end that's getting 2 touchdown catches and things. And the defense is making a few plays that you got a chance. Now, we don't know what the Cowboys' plans going forward is, if they're going to look at this and say, we're going to try and make some moves to, really facilitate this team getting better on defense. They may look at this and say, well, we played pretty good against the Commanders. I mean, they did shut down Jalen Daniels, and I hope he's not hurt seriously, but I'm concerned that, that hamstring, it didn't look good. It did not look good at all. But be that as it may, I was like, the Cowboys need to try and sign Pickens at halftime, literally, because Pickens right now, even as Robin had, like 80-some yards today. Not to mention the big pass interference call that was, early in the game there, gets us down to the 1-yard line, easy touchdown. And he's been an integral part of this offense and this team. If the Cowboys somehow, and let me look up real quick, George Pickens, he's over 600 yards right now on the season, okay, in 7 games. He is 607 yards in 7 games with 6 TDs. Guys, that's what we hope for in the last couple of years from our number 2 receiver in a season. Okay, I want you to understand that. When you think about, Noah Brown being our number 2 wide receiver and, with like 600 yards, that's in a season. You think of Brandon Cooks last year, or 2 years ago, leading us with 700 yards maybe. George Pickens has 36 catches for 607 yards and 16.9 yards per reception. If he were to be a free agent, he may be the biggest free agent wide receiver in history. And that's where the Cowboys need to get something done. Now, the roadblock here is, David Malagetta is his agent. Yeah, the guy that Jerry Jones said, I'm not dealing with agents and stuff. So Jerry Jones responded tonight because, he's looking at this and maybe he's looking at this and saying, you got to pay the offensive players. That defensive players are a dime a dozen. Let's go to the tape here.
Don't pay any attention to that at all. No attention to that at all. And too much was made of that. Okay, that the agent actually had something to do with the ultimate decision of where we were. It almost had zero to do with it. Period. And that's not a negative. It just didn't have that kind of influence on it. I was going to be where I was with Micah relative to dollars and cents. I don't care who represented me. Don't pay any attention.
Wow. That is, now, if we are to believe Jerry Jones, basically, it had nothing to do with the agent and him talking to the agent. It was basically, it sounds like they decided we ain't going to, listen, we made a deal. This was going to be the numbers, and we're not going higher than that. This is our line in the sand, bottom line. And we don't think that you're worth more than that. I still believe that there was something in that X-rays when they went and did the MRI on Micah Parsons that said to them, this might not be the best long-term move. Now, the Packers, Micah Parsons had an incredible game today, 11 pressures and his first 3-sack game, and led a comeback for them to go ahead and win. Congratulations. Cardinals had him against the ropes, but Micah Parsons came through for him. And I don't know how this season's going to end. I still look at this and say the Cowboys, they still have a long ways to go. Okay, their defense played better today, makes you have a little bit of hope. The offense, I think if you can the way I would look at this right now is say, we've hit some home runs on the offense, okay? The defense, they've missed so much. But I think if you lock down Pickens, and you can look around and say, well, we gave up a third-round pick for Pickens. We're not getting that kind of receiver in the third round. Jalen Tolbert was a third-round pick. Jonathan Mingo, we traded a fourth round for. This guy is one of the top receivers in football right now. That together, we got two receivers that you could look at and say, with Dak Prescott throwing to him, are top 5 receivers. And so you look at this and say, the only reason why we're able to do what we're able to do is because you do have those weapons, and that's a difference for Dak Prescott. And so Jerry Jones recognizes this. Now, my thing is this: if you can lock up George Pickens for next year, you got CD locked up, you got Jake Ferguson locked up. If you end up getting him, you go ahead and say Javonte Williams is going to be my guy. Your offensive line is young. Is very young. You've got depth in there, so you're good there. You can look at this, and you got Jake Ferguson locked up as well, and he's playing like one of the best tight ends in football. You can look at it and say, we can pretty much stand pat on offense. We're not going to lose any of our stars this offseason to free agency. And you can focus in with those draft picks that you have, those 2 number ones, your second, and you don't have a third, your 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th, and whatever ones you have, as well as having some cash. Now, if you look at the, over the cap next year, we're actually, money that we owe out. We don't have any money until we roll over what we have from this year. But we have triggers in CeeDee Lambs and Tyler Smith and Jake Ferguson and Osin Digazuas and CD and Dax and everything else. The Cowboys can easily pull $100 million in cap space, and you go ahead and say, we've got a studded offense that is now experienced if you sign George Pickens. And you can focus everything on trying to build a great defense. And that, my friends, would be the way I would look at it going forward. Maybe the Cowboys make a move and try and get a player or two before the trade deadline to shore up this defense. But, man, this offense, God, it is humming. Dak Prescott in the last 4 games has got almost 1,100 yards, 13 TDs, no interceptions, and the worst game he's had is a 124.8 rating. Bro, anybody that said that, we can get out of Dak Prescott's contract the end of next year, you stupid. This guy is playing like an MVP. All right, people, I'm going to do my game balls, and I'm going to bed. I'm going to bed happy tonight. Peace out.